Hey, good evening, everybody. It's me, John Park, and I am guest hosting here tonight on Show and Tell here on Adafruit Industries broadcasting conglomerate. You may be picking us up on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook or Periscope. Does that still exist? I don't even know. But if you're wondering where the conversation is happening around our live broadcasts and other topics, you can check out our Discord, which is over at adafruit.it/Discord, and you can jump into the live broadcast chat channel and participate in the conversation. Also, if you head there or to the Adafruit blog, you can grab a link and join us because we would love to see what you're working on, what you've got to show and to tell, any projects you're doing, any observations, new gear, stuff you're building. We'd love to see it. And so what we're going to do is take a few minutes with a few of our Adafruit people, and we have at least one community member logged in already to show off some stuff. And then we will, I think we just have a few people, so we'll probably wrap up a little early. But either way, we will wrap up for sure in time for Ask an Engineer, which happens at 8 o'clock Eastern time, and it is 7:30 Eastern right now, if you're wondering about all the time math that's happening. That's it. So first off, I'm going to bring on Scott.
Hey, John. Thanks for hosting. Thanks for having me.
What you working on? What's new?
Yeah, so I've been working on USB host, which is the idea that you can plug an existing USB device into a CircuitPython board or a board running CircuitPython. So I can't show the rest of it, but this is in telekeys. I've showed this before. But what I didn't have working before is you can actually press it and the light comes on when you press. And if you can hear it, where's the speaker? I don't know where the speaker is.
Yep.
It's beeping. And the way that that's working is actually when it gets when the CircuitPython code reads that a press down has happened, it has to send a thing back to the device to tell it to beep and make the LED go. So that was me getting it working so that we can send stuff back to the device.
Right on.
Okay, part 2 of this show is the window that I've got for you. So this is a tool called Kaitai Struct. And what I've been using it for is taking blobs of binary data and making sense of it. So what we have on the right-hand side here is some data that I captured by just spitting it out from CircuitPython. So these are the data packets that come from the IntelliKeys back into CircuitPython. And then you can write these definitions for Kaitai Struct that tell you kind of what the structure is. So it's a repeated list of reports, and then a report is an event ID, and then a different type depending on the event ID. And then what down here is, this is all the data that it's parsed out. So if I want to click here, it will highlight the bits in the data file that match up with this object. And so we can see sensor changes. And then we scroll down, we can say, oh, here's the version number response. And you can see that it's labeled them differently. And then here's like membrane press and release. So I've been using that. I thought I'd just highlight that as a very cool tool that's handy.
Yeah.
And if people want copies of these Kaitai structs, I just put them in my GitHub gists as public. So hopefully people can at least Google for them in the long run. I also did USB descriptor parsing and USB HID report parsing as well.
Oh, that's great. And so in case people don't know, that IntelliKeys keyboard is an assistive device for which there are no longer drivers, right? It's a pretty used device, even though it lives on.
It's a pretty weird one because the firmware has to be loaded every time it plugs in. It doesn't store the firmware itself. So one thing I got working is the actual firmware loading, and then after that, it was a matter of reading the data. And then there's also these overlays. So the sensor changes we saw in the dump are actually the light sensors for the where's my I'm disoriented. That black line on the edge there, that goes in front of a light sensor that comes in as a sensor change. So that's how you would tell which overlay you had. Is the light level that you're seeing, whether it's dark or light.
So presumably you could drop in a different overlay, and if you've already defined that
Yeah.
structure, you can immediately use the new.
Yeah, I've got
layout.
my handy like folio of
Ooh.
overlays.
So cool.
So the CircuitPython code doesn't do this. It's not fully featured.
Mm-hmm.
CircuitPython code isn't. It's just a proof of concept that like all the bits work.
Yep.
Because there is a lot of work to just do all that mapping
Mm-hmm.
from whichever membrane one you're pressing to what you want to do with the keyboard. Now, I haven't done that part, but I'm hoping somebody else will. I just wanted to prove it out.
Very cool.
So that's one thing. And then since we don't have a whole lot of people, probably, let me show you this other thing.
Yeah, we have time if you have another thing to show.
Yeah. So tomorrow is Hardware Happy Hour, which is like a monthly thing where we get together. And I wanted to show USB hosts. So I have a Feather TFT thing here, and then on the back I've got the RP2040 USB thing, and I got a little sidetracked. So I'm not actually going to show USB with this, although it does work. What I was playing around with was it's upside down. I was playing around with switching the font up for 9.0. So this is a font that Jepler found called Kazette.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really spaced weirdly right now because I've just set it up to be bigger because I was playing around with these emojis. Sorry, my USB cable is not quite long enough. Come on, let me pull it. Yeah, so we've got like rocket, snake, shrug.
Oh yeah,
and like a smiley showing up there.
Uh-huh.
And because we're kind of going in this vein of USB host and CircuitPython as a standalone computer, I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we had emojis working in the terminal as a way for you to do games, and like ASCII games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like those 8-bit era computers, they would have like line drawing primitives and box primitives as well, and those are in Unicode. So
yeah, like a little mini palette of sprites almost, if you
and like the modern, like that was all custom at the time, but the modern version of that is emojis, right? So I was playing around with this font that has emojis and having some trouble because the emoji is actually different sizes, so that's why like the smiley is cut off. It's like it's extra big.
I thought it was just that weird saluting half face.
Oh no, it's meant to be the
cool
shades.
guy.
Yeah, the shades one
with shades. Yeah.
But unfortunately, like the font hasn't been strict about like it's 6x13, but then the like full one is not 13x13, and ideally be 6x12, because then you'd have 12x12. Anyway, so I'm playing around with that. There's also another font called Unifont that might work better, and that Unifont has support for like Japanese and Korean and a lot of other languages that would also benefit from this. Like, let's do half width and full width characters.
Right.
Because then we could actually have terminal support for other languages, which would be cool.
Really cool. Well, thanks so much for bringing those on, Scott.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, have a good one.
Bye.
All right, next up we got Maker Melissa. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good. You want to share my screen or my second camera there? Okay.
Sure.
So what I have is I just have this touch screen hooked up, and I only have the touch screen component of it. It's running a new touch screen controller than we have drivers for. So I now have it working, so I can move it around, and it'll affect the screen on the HDMI. So it's getting the input and moving the mouse around that way.
Oh, wow. That's great. So that is running on a Raspberry Pi as sort of external trackpad?
Exactly. That's how it's going to work in there.
Neat. Oh, very cool. And what all do you have hooked up there? What's the you got one of those nice breakouts for
yeah, it's one of the tea cobblers from the store.
And what is it a pair of resistive touch elements that you need to wire up from the screen there, or how does that?
No, it's like a TSC 2046 compatible chip. I think it's actually XPT 2046. And that's reading the resistive touch that you're doing, and then it's communicating via the SPI interface in order to tell the Raspberry Pi where you're going. So It was just a matter of like finding all the right settings and everything, but the driver is already built in, which is cool.
Cool. Oh, nice work.
Thanks.
Thanks for showing that off, Melissa. Take care.
Thanks, you too.
All right, next up we've got Noah. Hello.
Hey, what's up, JP?
Not much. What's new? What's going on?
All right, what's new? We have a 3D printed Adabot.
Ooh.
Yay! So, this is a prop maker feather RP2040 that's powering it. We got a NeoPixel stick inside the mouth, and then it's got a micro servo that's controlling the head. I got a little push button in the back, and I got a speaker in there. So when I press the button,
hello, do you read me? Over.
So I sampled a couple of WAV files from the Circuit Playground episodes. So I got 18 different ones. It's all done in CircuitPython. Shout out to Liz for doing the code for this one.
Really nice.
I hear something.
Yes, we heard something.
Well, pleasure to meet you.
So I'm really happy how the parts all turned out. So we got some posable limbs. We got the two arms, because it'd be weird if we had one arm. And then we have the claws that are fully articulating, and little feet are very adorable. They also articulate somewhat.
That's a really nice update to this class.
Yeah, right. We had one like a couple years ago, but we didn't really do much else with it.
Yeah.
But the prop maker feather is really like the best kind of board.
Good.
For these type
Yeah,
of
yeah.
projects. It does have an onboard accelerometer, so I thought it'd be fun to, like, when you want the head to stop moving, you kind of lay him down, and then the NeoPixel kind of pulsates to kind of like he's sleeping.
Time.
Yeah, and it helps because like the slide switch to turn it off and on is right here. So if I want to like turn it off, it's like he's like shaking his head and won't let me quite.
No, I don't want that.
It's like a safe way to like turn him off. Like, okay,
That's great.
Go to sleep, Adabot. I need to shut you off. So
that's really clever. I like that.
Yeah.
Also, you said is it a rigid stick?
Yeah. So
you got such a nice effect of it,
right,
like an illusion of the curve.
Yeah. So the way I did that was I just printed a separate like mask that's in the shape, and all that it is, it's exposing the mouth. So it's printed in black filament because otherwise it would shine through the whole head.
It's so good.
So that was like the easiest way to do it. So if I pop open the head, you'd be able to see the black kind of
like blackout mat.
Yeah. So that was the way I was able to do that. You have access to the USB port right there.
Yep.
So we can recharge the battery or reprogram it or add new sounds. But yeah, folks seem to think it's cute.
It is, and you really nailed it with filament colors too.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of different colors these days, and
worked out so well.
I made a special version just for PT.
I was noticing the goth one back there.
The goth bot. So yeah, so he's got like a couple of desaturated black colors.
So cool.
Yeah, so folks can have fun printing it in different colors.
Love that.
And we got a learn guide published today. Thank you for reviewing it, by the way.
Yeah.
And folks can start printing it out. There's a lot of pieces to it, but I kind of had to do it that way just so that you can do all the different colors and just take your time printing each part out.
No, that's great.
And what are we working on?
Great work on that. Really cool. Yeah, so people head on over to learn.adafruit.com and check it out. It should be in the new guide section, and they'll probably highlight it tonight.
Yeah.
Engineer. So
you said it. All right, let's see if we can say goodbye.
What?
Okay, it quite can't say goodbye. But...
Bye.
All right, bye.
See you. All right, and last up we have Toddbot joining us tonight. Hey there, Todd.
Hey. So several months ago, I made this latest iteration of this little step sequencer synth thing in preparation for synth.io being awesome.
Yeah.
This is pretty big and complex. So a couple weeks ago, I made a much smaller board that is meant to hold a cutie pie, a little OLED display, a couple of pots, and 4 little touch surfaces, and then like MIDI in, audio out. And so that looks like, via my magic of screen technology here, is this. And let me just jam the little battery here. And so these two knobs currently control frequency, cutoff, and resonance. And so when you push little touch pads,
yeah,
just doing this backwards is kind of hard. But the one of the whole points of this is that I'm working on a sort of instrument and patch system for synth.io. And so like this is one patch. Here's a different patch. And you can sort of hear the filters being modulated there by an envelope. And so, and of course you can still adjust the filter manually. But yeah, so that's what I'm working on, is this little board. It's pretty cheap, it's pretty fun, and hopefully it'll be in the Tendy store at some point.
Great, yeah. And so to explain a little more about your patch and instrument idea inside of synth.io, can you talk about that?
Well, let's see. So synth.io does a lot of really cool things where it actually does most of the like connections for you, so you don't have to really make a patch in the normal sense. But if you want to do a lot of the, it's got a very particular sense of how things should be connected. And so if you want to do something a little bit differently, like have multiple oscillators per note, or have a filter that's modulated over time, the way that the amplitude is modulated over time, then you have to do something. You have to have extra code that sort of runs on a timer and adjusts things in real time. And so that's what the patch system is it holds all the synth.io parameters and all these extra parameters, puts them in one little object, and then you can like just sort of choose each different one. And I don't have it working very well yet, but it's getting this is the sort of like proof of concept, and I think it's a nice little test platform for it.
Oh, that's great. Do you have a name for your little CapTouch synth board here?
This one, it's currently called unimaginatively cutie pie synth.
Hey, that'll do it. That works.
Because it holds a cutie pie and it's a synth. So yeah, that's about it.
Excellent. Very cool.
I don't do those fancy cool names, man.
Let the people decide. Let them.
That's right.
That's great. And if people want to find out more, where should they look? Where should they follow you?
Probably GitHub. Like look at the GitHub repo. There's a GitHub repo for this right now, but there's nothing in it except for the board files of this bad version of the board, which has a lot of silkscreen mistakes.
Yep. Good. So people get in on the ground floor of that action. That's
right. That's right. So if you do have the ability to make PCBs, you can make one of these yourself and like kind of knock yourself out.
Excellent.
So it's kind of lo-fi. It's not really it's not meant to be a high quality synth. It's meant to be kind of a fun lo-fi little gritty synth.
Yeah. And are you doing an I2S amp output or a PWM output?
Not even that. Yeah, PWM. Yeah, if you look, it's just got, this is the audio out. This is the, doing things backwards. This is the audio out jack, and it's just got a couple of resistors and capacitors from the standard RP2040 datasheet on how to convert PWM to audio. And so it's super low tech, but it works.
Yeah, low cost, low tech, and it works really well.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you so much, Todd. We look forward to seeing the progress on Cutie Pie Synth. Take care.
Cool. Thanks, man.
All right. We have a couple more people who have entered. So let me go ahead and add Mouse to the stream. Hello, Mouse.
Hi. Okay. Can you hear me well?
I hear you well. Yeah. Would you like your other screen added as well?
Yeah, so first I'll just say that this is the module I showed off last week, which is a digital FM synth based on a RP2040 keyboard. And now if you go to my screen, I wrote some software for editing patches, which is notoriously hard on digital FM synths.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually going to ignore all the fun-looking stuff over here, and I want to talk about the right-hand side, where I have a little panel that is directly connected by USB serial to the module. So you can see I have some debugging messages it shows here, right here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to, just using the USB serial that's in the C SDK for the Pi Pico, I was able to do all sorts of communications. So one of the really useful things is that I can download firmware. Oh, you can't see the pop-up dialog because it's a different window. Sorry, but if I click on here, I can download firmware to the device. It automatically sends a command down there that tells my firmware to do the reboot into bootloader mode, like when you hold down the boot and reset. Because now that the thing is inside my synth here, I can't reach the reset button anymore.
Right.
So yeah, and then it so the software sends a command, and then it waits for the fake USB drive to show up where you drag the UF2 file, firmware file, and it just copies the firmware file onto there. So it's really convenient when I'm programming and debugging.
Yeah. Oh, that's a smart addition.
The other, yeah, and it's sent. I can send version information from the firmware, all sorts of debugging stuff. I'll make debugging messages, and I can also. This is also how I download patches.
Mm-hmm.
Sends a command over the USB serial to the module, the firmware in the module, then waits for it to send a whole data file. So I can. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing, but it. There we go. Wait a sec. There it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I can download a whole new patch bank. I was actually surprised how well it works just using, because on the RP2040 side, it's written in C++, and it just uses the C standard output and standard in, standard out, which are connected to the USB serial. So it's just reading and writing stuff like printing and stuff. And I was surprised how well I was able to get it to work.
Well, that looks really useful. Yeah, so helpful to be able to iterate between patches.
Yeah, and of course I had to do that to be able to download patches because I got tired of programming patches in C++.
I can imagine. Oh, that's great. I don't want to put you on the spot, but can you play us a little demo of something from this patch?
Yeah, what I have here. Okay. I think you know that song.
Nice. Yeah, I know that song. That's great. Really cool. Thank you so much, Mouse. Thanks for bringing that on and sharing the progress with it. Looking great.
Okay, thanks.
Bye. All right, and we have one more shower teller, DJ Devin 3. I'll bring you on now. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
I hear you well, yeah.
Okay.
What you got today?
Oh, I just wrapped this up. Well, I wrote a new driver for this display. It took me better part of a day and with a lot of help. And this is, let me load this real-time demo. Hopefully it doesn't crash. So this is going through Fitbit API. It goes through a SHA-256 hash, base 64 encoding, pulls your latest heartbeat, and this is my mom's heartbeat that I'm monitoring. It's very basic because I literally just finished this like 2 minutes ago. So I'm gonna have like this cute little, heart shaped icon with a heartbeat, so I can see your latest heartbeat. So yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's great. And so is that a Bluetooth low energy device that you're reading on?
No, this is connected to an ESP32 Adafruit ESP32 S3. It's right behind it. So, and this is connected via SPI. And I just wrote the okay, yeah, because it's a custom API. So I wrote an entire new Adafruit request Fitbit API. That's in. So this is a demo of that, which as I'm cleaning up because there's a lot of personal data in there that you don't want. So that will be released sometime this week, next week, something like that. I'm still working on it. It's a work in progress.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. Well, that's looking great. Thank you for sharing that, DJ Devin 3.
Well, thank you. You have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. All right. Well, that is going to do it. Thank you, everyone, for bringing on the very cool projects and sharing those. Bring yours on next week. I think we'll have Liz hosting next week as another guest host, and then Phil and Lamore will be back on the week after that. So please bring your cool stuff. We love to see it. And next up, you've got enough time for a little bit of a break. Go grab a snack or a beverage or something, because you're going to want to go see Ask an Engineer happening in 6 minutes at 8:00 p.m. Eastern time. So that's it for me. That's it for Show and Tell. Thanks, everyone. I'm John Park for Adafruit Industries, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.